temperatures are much warmer than they were last night when we ended the last video. It was -10 when we ended that video, and right now we're up to 22 degrees. That's a pretty good jaunt. That's what, 32 degrees up? Or take that any day. We're down here in Topeka, Kansas. We've been down here about 5,262,562 times. It's a drop and a hook. We're bringing them 43,000 pounds of pork liver, and then we're going to pick up an empty trailer, and we're going to take that empty trailer back up to Sioux City, Iowa, which is 260 miles from here. We spent last night at Sapp Brothers just off of Interstate 29 over there in Iowa, right around that Purcellville, Iowa area. The truck stayed okay, warm. It didn't cook me out by no means. Whenever that wind is blowing at Mach 20, I need the temperature to stay at 150 or 170, 175 on the engine temperature for it to spit good heat out. But that wind just whips underneath this truck, pulls all the heat out, and that temp usually drops down to 150 degrees on the engine temp. Usually don't get too good a heat. Plus the insulation on this old girl, it's very poor. Sometimes in these cooler weathers, that landing gear can get kind of tough. That little knob right there, it pulls the tabs in through there, and we can slide these tandems, because right now they're all the way back. I want to slide them up a little bit. Makes it ride a little bit. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything to the ride. It makes it to where I can churn better. If the trailer was loaded, it'd change the ride. Come on. Come on. I was just standing outside chitter-chatting with one of Gunther's company drivers, but he was an owner-operator for years. We were just sitting there chatting, and I was telling him about my new dilemma I have going on right now. I feel I have a rear end checking out and saying goodbye to the truck. We limped her down here the last 30 miles, and we grabbed an empty. I'm pretty sure with the right driving, I can get it back up to the yard. Yeah, got bearings out. The gears feel like they're still good. I guarantee they're wore out, because this truck has over 2 million miles on it, and those are the original rear ends in this truck. Something tells me I'm about to spend some money. I'm going to pull out here beside the road and make a few phone calls, call Eldon there at NMC, and that was smooth, at NMC in Omaha, Nebraska. Tell him what I got going on, probably get some quotes from him. I'm gonna go to him anyway. They're gonna be probably a little bit higher. That's okay. Sometimes a good shop is worth it. DOT trucking right there. I've only been hit once in a truck stop, and it was by them. I was in, it was either, I think it was somewhere in Oklahoma or Kansas or Nebraska, somewhere over in this neck of the woods at a Casey's parked, and he was backing into a pretty tight spot, and he bumped me. And at the time, I just seen a little crinkle in my mirror, or in my air fitting, or air canister, air filter canister. And I'm like, oh, that's all right, man. He comes out with a big old piece of, actually, at first, I was sleeping, and I felt the truck go like this, and I jumped down, and I got out of the truck, and the truck sitting beside me, over one parking spot, started yelling, he's running, he's running, he's running. And I just woke up, so I was like, what's going on, man? He's running. He starts yelling at me. Dude, if he's running, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to chase him down. Luckily, the driver came back around and came back, and he goes, did I hit you? And I go, yeah, you did. And we spent about 5 minutes looking around at damage, and he's getting his paperwork out to fill everything out. And he was new at driving, and he... all I could find was one little ding in my breather. I'm like, man, they rocked the whole truck. What it did is it pushed the breather in a little bit, so if you look on the inside of the breather, you can see it's crinkled in. But all I seen at the time was that little ding. I was like, get out of here, man. It ain't worth worrying about. I really, if there's no damage more than a little ding, back then I was pretty easy going, and I was okay with it. But ever since then, I always tell everybody, yeah, the DOT hit me. Just got off the phone with Eldon. I'm having him put a list together, a cost list. And I think while she's in there getting the rear end fixed up, the bearings I just told you about, I think we're going to get some more stuff done. Now, some of you are thinking, hey, Kurt, is this the same thing you were talking about almost a year ago? Yes, it is. It is the exact same thing we were talking about almost a year ago. You think I can fit? It'd be kind of tight. That curb sticks out more than what you think it does. I don't think I can fit. They unloaded them, and then they closed the doors to the building. I'm pretty sure they're just counting the product now. we're coming into Auburn, Nebraska right now, heading north. We got about 16 more miles of hills, and I think we're going to be okay. The hills is what, going up the hills is when you really feel that that bearing is out or going out. And then as for RPMs, you want to keep those under 15, preferably around 1300, because if you start zinging it, that bearing starts getting real unhappy. I was fully prepared to come on today's video and probably make the video about procrastination and how not to procrastinate, but I've come to the conclusion in the past almost 100 miles we've been driving, it wasn't really a procrastination. Probably about 3 years, maybe 4 years ago, this front rear end was actually showing signs of weakness. Now, I made a lot of trips out to North Carolina, down to Texas, on the same rear end, same bearings, same everything. And then I started running Kansas dedicated for a while, and we've been doing this. So I've kind of been to the conclusion, if it goes out, it breaks, I can just tow it back home and get it worked on. But that's 4 years more I got out of it than technically what I should have. I mean, should I have replaced it right away when it said that it was showing wear, or when it showed that it was showing wear and tear? If I was dedicated long haul, yeah, I would have. But the routes I run, I think I'm okay. I mean, you drive it right, you treat it right, you don't slam the gears, you don't beat and bang on it, you just kind of let the truck do its thing. You can get a lot of wear and tear out of wear and tear parts. Are we limping it home? Sort of limping it. I mean, if our trailer was loaded, we'd be not limping, we'd be not going home. But since the trailer's bone dry and empty, the only times I'm feeling it is, you know, your normal acceleration, and well, that's about it. Once you get to the flats, we'll be crystal clear, and we just got to make it to Sioux City, kick this off, back home, clean the truck all up, and get it into the shop. Thumbnail. Okay, so if you're a preventative maintenance freak, or one of those guys that's really on top of it, which is probably none watching this channel because I've probably driven you nuts already, that rear end issue would really drive you nuts. Kind of wondering if I'm hurting the housing at all running it, because the flats are worse on it than the hills. That's the word I was looking for. I think that's supposed to be a deer. A very large-headed deer. When you pull off at these rest areas, you go in there, and you know they want to save the government, or save the environment, so they get rid of paper towels. They just got hand dryers. I'm one of those guys. Once I get done washing my hands, if I have to use that hand dryer, I'll set up camp. I mean, I'm there for the long haul. Head against the wall. My hands, I don't leave till my hands are dry. Usually the first hand dryer will quit. My hands still aren't dry, so I'll walk over to the next one and I'll use that one. The wise of the truck, I suppose it could be a U-joint. I just greased those the other day, and they were pretty solid yet. But after yesterday's fiasco with the air system, if you guys caught that in the last video, maybe I took one out. They took grease real nice. Boy, if it is a U-joint, then I could just milk those rear ends out even longer. No, I probably shouldn't milk those out any longer. It's there's a lot of slop there. It's kind of impossible to fit my fat butt down there without getting extremely dirty and my head hurting. I'm pretty sure it's a rear end housing, a rear end gear. She smells, she's warm. About my only worry at this point is I hope I'm not hurting the housing, the surrounding of everything. That wouldn't be pleasant. That would probably ruin my day. Where's it at? Oh yeah, look. For you that were wondering, Kurt, why are you still wearing the super glue glasses? I dropped him off the bed last night. Yeah, when I say dropped him off the bed, I sleep up there in that bed that's not made at all. I dropped him down to the wood floor, and I broke him. That's what I did. I broke him. I need a snack. Let's go with cauliflower. Cauliflower with a little bit of ranch. That's a good snack, right? Yeah. Gosh, I sure do love my truck. I love first class. Somebody left in a comment a few videos back asking me, Schmidt, what are you going to do when it comes time for first class to get a rebuild? And I think he meant the engine. And my response to that was rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. When first class is done, I'm done. I think that was the comment I left on there, or the reply I left on there. The good part about trucks, as long as you don't twist them up too bad in an accident of some sort or another, almost every single thing on them is rebuildable, as long as you can still get the parts. First class is about 24 years old now, 25 years old now, and I can still get the parts, so we keep going. I had a 1986 Freightliner before first class, and I couldn't get the parts. Well, let me take that back. I could, but I was struggling to get the parts, and I really, it got to the point where when I broke down out on the road, it would take 2 to 3 weeks to get the parts, and I don't want to set that long, so that's why I upgraded. Plus, I wanted that. I wanted the big sleeper. First class is my dream truck. This is exactly what I've always wanted. This was the end game. I'm happy. I love my truck. So we're just going to fix her up and get things straightened away and in good shape. Hopefully get her to where she can go another 2 million miles. That's the plan, at least.